Hello and welcome back to the Fields of Anfield Road podcast as we review Liverpool 3-2-1 over Southampton at St Mary's Stadium in the Premier League. Phew. Everyone, we can relax. That was the close one. My goodness, that was not what I was expecting of this 90 minutes. Came to this game fairly relaxed. After how the season's gone for both teams, I was expecting a fairly routine game, especially how we've played teams that have struggled this year and we've done well. We've got wins and it's been fairly mostly pretty scare-free. But that was, my God, that was a scary one. I am, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, and I realise it's been a while since I've been here with you. It's been a while. It's been, I can't think when the last one was. I think it was post-Wolves, which was the first weekend of October. It's been a manic couple of months, and I can only apologise for the lack of content. I've actually missed a lot of games recently, or been out and about watching games. So, if you don't know, I also cover a lot of NFL stuff as a journalist, and I do. I had the luxury of spending 3 weekends in a row in London covering the NFL games in London. Games on Sunday, but there was a lot of times where on the Saturdays I was also doing fan events, which is how I missed the Palace game because I was doing a Minnesota Vikings fan event in London, and then the following week was the international break, and then the weekend after that it was the Chelsea game, and that was going on during the London game as well. So that was that, and then the weekend after that I was in Miami, so I missed the Arsenal game. I was literally checking updates whilst in the stadium in Miami. And then it's just been one thing after another. I was in Madrid at the Bernabeu when Madrid lost to Milan the same night we played. So yeah, it's just been a horrendously busy last month. I was ill as well in the weekend after that. I can't think who even played now that weekend, but yeah, it's just been a manic few weeks. And yeah, as I said before, I can only apologise. I know there's been some of you, especially Mark, if you're listening, who have been wanting more content from the channel, and yeah. We're here now for the foreseeable. I'm hoping this will be probably a common theme in October's if the podcast is to go, for the next few years or more. October's are normally a busy time for me of the year. They were last year as well with the NFL coverage and all the stuff I'm doing there. But of course, we got games coming against Madrid. That'll be something I'll be definitely bringing you post-game reaction. Man City, not as much. I'm going to be in London. I'll be watching the game in a pub next to Victoria Station before going back to Cardiff after the conclusion of that game via National Express. So yeah, you've got that to look forward to on Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that. And in the meantime, yeah, let's go through the game. Started off in pretty fortunate fashion. We got the goal for Dominic Szoboszlai after a real calamitous, really mix up at the back from the Southampton defence. Alex McCarthy, especially being at fault there. But then we made our own issues for ourselves. Equaliser came from a penalty from Adam Armstrong after Robertson foul, which was deemed a penalty after VAR check. Then they took the lead just before the hour mark through Mateus Fernandes. Before then, a slice of fortune again for us for the second goal from McCarthy. Gives Salah his first goal of the game before he then converted the 83rd minute penalty after a handball from Southampton. Yeah, as I said before, that was ridiculously close and ridiculously tough to watch, as we found. Emma, if you told me start the season that we'd have more of a nervous game away from home at St Mary's compared to Old Trafford, I would be laughing your head off. I didn't think, I never felt more comfortable watching a Liverpool Man U game at Old Trafford than that. But I think you never felt as frustrated as that. Maybe apart from the 1-0 we had during the year we were defending champions when the run started to come of bad results. But yeah, it was really, really poor for us. I think we were poor in this game. I think we were lucky that McCarthy had an absolute stinker in goal. First 2 goals really came from mistakes from him. The first goal itself, we always see, we're seeing teams these days going through the motions of playing around the back and doing all this kind of stuff. Well, I don't think it's entirely always valid to play it around the back. Now, I remember years ago, teams always played out from the back, Then Barcelona came into the fold, they did their thing, and then Pep's become more and more of a renowned manager, and now we're seeing every team starting to try to copy him. And I heard a great quote from, I can't think who it was now, who said that you can't teach a pig to bark. And I think sometimes teams aren't always equipped to play out from the back. You need the personnel to do it. And I think what I loved years ago, the fact that you had teams that played out from the back, but you also had teams who did also play, front foot football, direct, kick it straight up to strike, he heads it on and heads it on and stuff like that. So for me, it's, I think we're seeing two teams try and do it, and that's what you're getting as a result. We saw it with Burnley last year. We're seeing it a lot with Southampton this year, trying to play out from the back, and we're seeing mistakes, and we capitalised on that. Great finish from Soberslide. It really was. A guy who they said after the goal happened that it was only his fourth Premier League goal in 45 appearances. Not really good enough if you want to be playing week in, week out. That's why I don't believe if everyone's fit, he would start. I think it would be Jones, McAllister and Gravenberch if everyone's fit. But of course, McAllister was on 4 yellow cards and also just come back from South America, international duty. And I believe he was the last player back as well out of all the players who were on international duty. So I think for me personally, he, I think there's bigger eye on Sunday coming up, a huge game against Man City. And also Madrid's coming up in the week. I don't know whether we'll play our starters. I personally wouldn't play our starters against Madrid. I know it's a huge game, and we want to get revenge on them from 2 Champions League finals. But if I'm honest, I don't really see that as revenge, because I don't view, unless it was knocking them out of the group stage or anything like that, or I would bet you say or even first round of the knockouts. But I don't believe beating them in a group stage game means it's revenge. I think they could easily still beat us in a big game later on in the season. But if I'm honest, I think we can afford one loss in the Champions League. We haven't dropped points in that tournament yet. We're perfect. I think we can afford. We've earned it right now through our results so far in the Champions League. We've earned that right to now not to lose a game would be fine. Whereas I think if you lose against Man City, it's a huge loss. I think you can make that. It's a huge game on Sunday for many reasons. Because I think that if you can even get a draw, then you keep it as what it is now, point-wise, 8 points difference. But I think if you lose that game, put us down to 5 points. If you win that game, it can go up to 11 points. So I think for me, it's it's a huge game on Sunday, and I don't want to get too much because this is a review of the game against Southampton, but it's a massive game. It's a huge game, the biggest of our season by a mile, and I think that you want everyone there. And I definitely see that's why he didn't start the game. And I believe that, I think against Madrid on Wednesday, just play. I want to, you still want to win, but I think you can afford to play like to Joe Gomez. You can afford to play Endo, holding to give Gravenberch a rest. I don't think he was perfect today. I don't think he had his best game in the world. So I think you can rest him against on Wednesday, play Endo, give him some minutes. And you can also play like stuff. You can start Gakpo one game on the left, and you can play Diaz the other, or put Diaz up front and put Gakpo on the left. And I think you can put, if Chaser is fit, you can put him there or against Madrid, or you can put any. I think Salah definitely shouldn't start on Wednesday. I think Diaz deserves a rest because he didn't play, granted, today. But I think you want Diaz at his best on Sunday because he gave Kyle Walker a horrible time on the last time he played at Anfield. But I think he's been better this season out in the middle with Gakpo on the left. So I think that's where I think we need to go. And then midfield-wise, I think you can probably play Curtis Jones, or you can play, if Harvey Elliott's back fit, you can play him. But otherwise, I think I would love to see us rest some players. Maybe Simicast Robertson and play the other on Sunday. Maybe keep Conor Bradley at right back and have Trent hopefully back on Sunday. And I think that's how we can do it. And even, I forgot his name, our third choice keeper, you can even play him in the game on Kovacs, I think it is on Wednesday. So I think that's where we are at that flag game. But I think in terms of the our goal, tremendous bit of luck on top of slide there. I don't think he was great today, but I think he did well for the goal. Great finish, and that probably put us 1-0 up. Then it was pretty much a disaster class for a lot of time after that. You think about the equaliser came about. I mean, Van Dijk deserves some share of the blame. I mean, Carragher nailed on the head. Being complacent against a team that is low down the table. I don't think he did that. We do that against Man City, he said, and I believe him. I think that's true. I think that we see a lot of time. I think we are always worse after the international break. It's been a theme for years, and the Rodgers and the Dalglish and the Klopp, and now we're seeing in the slot. Come back at international break, we seem to just be a different team and take a while to get going in games when you first come back. And it was awfully bad from everyone. I mean, Van Dijk why are you trying to play up to the back? and do that. I mean, play off on the back is fine, but then just give the ball away as badly as that. It's not good, really. And I don't think he had his best game today either. I think the whole back line, really. Conor Bradley was weak at times, sort of one-on-one against defenders. Konaté had an absolute stinker, by far his worst game of the season. And then Robertson, once again, is having a terrible time. And I love Robertson. He's one of my favourite ever players for Liverpool. I love him so much, but I think comes a time where you start to realise that a player maybe isn't quite where he was. And, he's done a lot for this club, but I think Tsimikas has done well in his absence. And I think Robertson has been, I remember the goal for Saka against us. He was poor there. He was poor all day, all game. He had a terrible time. And yeah, his penalty he gave away was just ridiculous. I mean, first, I will say I do think it wasn't a penalty. Looking at the replay, I don't believe he was on the line. I think it was just before the line. I don't believe that VAR decision at all for Michael Oliver, but it's what it is, sadly, and he has given a bad decision there. But Robertson equally doesn't need to go in like that. I think he can stay on his feet, stay up high. I don't think he would have probably scored from that angle. The Southampton player, again, I've forgotten who it is. But yeah, not great from Robertson, and I think that was a really, really bad penalty to give away. And then the penalty itself, Kelleher, so unlucky, saved the penalty, did really well for that penalty. I thought he went the right way, but unfortunately for him, it just, the way that the rebound bounces off, just went straight to Armstrong, 1-1. And, it felt for a while like that was going to be, it for us. One of those games where a team who's not as good as us just get that bit of luck and they just hold off and sit back. And then it was made worse second half when Fernandes, did get the second goal. And it was, again, just awful from everyone involved. I don't know where to start with this goal. Did well for the finish, don't get me wrong. Did well for his side of the things, Fernandes. But yeah, it was, again, really poor. And it's just a worrying sign. But if I'm honest, after that, I thought we bounced back really well. We were threatening for a lot of the game, and we got that slice of fortune with the equaliser from Salah. The sort of, granted, yeah, he got the touch that he needed, but McCarthy out of position. I mean, if he wanted any sort of chance of trying to stake his claim ahead of Ramsdale not playing, I think he's completely ruined that chance now because he was probably the worst player on the pitch. I think he single-handedly kamikaze the any chance for Southampton to win this game. And I think that they'll probably look back at that in potentially May and think, if he got that result against Liverpool, it could have changed the season completely. Really, really bad. And I think that it's a good ball to Salah in the first place. But yeah, McCarthy just completely, didn't at all do himself any justice. But, we can't complain. We've had many games before where we've been dominating games and not quite got that bit of luck. And I think, right now it seems to be falling all our way. Of course, we all saw what happened with Man City yesterday. Arsenal did win, but they obviously dropped points and lost their two games before that. And I think we need that luck because we've read this book many times before. We've read the Man City book where they have a bad month and they just come back and have this amazing run of form and don't lose the game for 4 or 5 months. So we've got to take whatever we can. I remember there was a game when they won the league, 2019-20, where we were literally mirror image of this season. So we were playing Man City a week later, but we played Villa. We were 1-0 down, and it was a 3 p.m. game, so it's hard to really gauge what the performance is totally like, apart from the match a day and YouTube highlights. But we got that bit of luck, we got the fortune, we got the goals there on. We showed our character to fight back in the game, and I think that's what happened here. I mean, it wasn't quite, the late bang, 89th minute, 91st minute, wherever it was 4 years ago, was Robertson and Mane. But at the same time, it was, for me, we didn't let our heads get down. There was a point in the game where it was really bad. We were misplacing a lot of passes there. And I think almost as soon as the second goal went in from Fernandes, we just completely switched up a gear. And that seemed to wake us up, which, a team trying to go for the league title shouldn't really be having to be told to wake up by a team bottom of the league in the 70th minute or the 56th minute, whatever it is. But yeah, I think that with that, I think it was really important to get that second goal, the equaliser, and just keep going because, it wasn't our day. We weren't great, but I'm really proud of the fact that we kept going and didn't get our heads down. I'm pretty aware that all 3 goals were a bit of fortune, but at the same time, we've had 97 points in the league season, not won the league. We've gone for a season losing just one game and not win the league. We've gone for a season and lost 2 games, not won the league. We've been 13 points behind the team, got back to level points on the final day of the year. We're at one point we were drawing while City were losing, and ultimately they won the league. So I think we've been in situations many times before where we've been so deserving of a league title and not won it. And we obviously got that one league title under Klopp, but Klopp deserved a lot more. And I think Slot. So I think Klopp will look on and envy the fact that we are having these bits of luck that he never had in his last few years. And City are playing that badly, like they weren't really any of his years apart from his first season and the one where we won the league. So for me, that's luck we need, that equaliser. And then the winner itself, the penalty, it wasn't a great what am I trying to say? It wasn't the best from the Southampton defender. I've literally forgotten his name. It was Yukinari Sagwara. Clear penalty for me. I don't know what he's thinking. Clear penalty all day long. I think he was originally, before we saw the replay, he was trying to indicate it was his chest. But you can see from the replay it was clearly his arm, and there's no real qualms about it. I was a bit worried about, are they going to find some loophole in the rules that they're going to try and rule this out or not give the penalty? But the penalty happened. Salah converted it really well. I thought he's not been someone I think has been amazing at penalties in his career. I think the Champions League final wasn't a great pen. Converted it. I think they said on the graphic before the penalty was taken that I think he's got something like an 83% conversion rate on penalties for Liverpool. So I think it's pretty good. But I've seen some stinking penalties that he has missed, but also ones where he scored where you're like, oh, that's close. But you can't argue that penalty he scored today. It was fast. It was powerful. When got the height right in terms of getting it over McCarthy, and perfect penalty. And got a yellow card his first of the season, but I doubt he cares. He's got a goal. That's now I think 11 goals in the season now for Salah. I mean, PFA Player of the Year nominees. I mean, he has to be the front runner, right? I mean, you could argue maybe Saka or Cole Palmer, but they've had their drop-offs this season at times. But Salah he's got double digits in both goals and assists. He's just playing out of his mind. And if it's his last season, then fair play to him. He's going out on a high. He's not down tooling. He's putting out to the end. I still think that I've still got a hunch he stays. I think my worry more is Trent, if I'm honest. Him leaving out the 3. I think Van Dijk, I'm the most confident he'll sign a new deal because he's the captain. He's at that age where you're going to go. I mean, unless, again, I hate saying this because Trent's probably on the same trajectory, but if Barca Madrid came calling for Van Dijk, it's hard to really say no because they're such massive clubs. And if we are to do what we hope we do this season, and if we are to do the something that I only could dream of as a kid, and win this league, then I think for these players especially, they might think, end on a high. I follow the NFL, as I mentioned before. We see a lot of quarterbacks, Peyton Manning especially, he left on a high. That's what you want as a player. You want to end on a high. And I think maybe that's where they'll think, right, I've won, hopefully, touch wood, fingers crossed, 2 Premier League titles in their Liverpool careers. They might think, time to experience something new. But it's a long way to go. And I'm not saying any of this with me thinking it's done, because even though it's 8 points right now, it just takes one loss against Man City, or takes one loss and one win for them on the same day, and it can all change. So for me, people, need to calm down. We need to all take a breather. We need to all just relax, because this thing isn't over. I know it's 8 points. I know, we were all saying this 4 or 5 years ago in 1920 when we were 20 points clear. But I don't believe it's over yet. I think there's definitely, if City can drop points and have this month off where they've been really bad, like most teams can, then I think for me, we take it one game at a time, just keep it going, and just hope that this is the year. And for me, that's where we are at. But yeah, it's been a good few weeks as a fan, I must admit. But City, there's problems for them, but they have the management, they have the coaching staff, they have the players. They can just turn things around. So, not going to get ahead of myself after this win, especially as it was so nervy against bottom of the league. But the same time, you have to give players credit. I don't think there was many players that stood out today. I thought Gakpo was good. I'm surprised he got taken off because I think that he was causing problems. But equally, I think Diaz caused as much problems, and he was very good coming off the bench in that game. I thought Nunes was poor, but I do think that he did really well for the chance Diaz missed, which he should have scored. Did really well for that, was powerful, did really well, was unselfish in trying to pass it to Diaz. But I thought he was pretty poor apart from that, pretty absent in the game. I thought Salah was good, was always a threat. I said before, the back four was pretty bad. The midfield was pretty bad. I don't think anyone stood out really. I think Salah got man of the match, probably quite rightly. I think obviously Southampton won. It would have been one of their players that would have won the award. But I think ultimately, he probably was on man of the match today, Salah. No one else really stood out for me in this game, and I think it was ultimately a poor performance. But we got what teams going for league titles need to do: wins when they're ugly. You can't win every game playing well. Otherwise, that's not sustainable. That's not going to last an entire season unless you're prime Barcelona or prime Brazil with Carlos Alberto back in the day. For me, it's all about results, and I think that for me, it was good to get us back on the pitch again after the international break and winning the game, and just making the most of another drop points in Man City. And it's just such a massive game next week, and I can't really describe how big it is. A team that has caused me more problems and more heartache than any other team, more than Man U, who are our biggest rivals, more than Everton, more than Chelsea and Arsenal, more than Tottenham. This team's caused me so much heartache in my life, and I know for a while they're not gonna. They can easily start going on a run and start winning games, and that'll be it. So for me, it's not done for me at all in any way. Just keep going, and fair play though. What a start for Slot. I mean, the best start in Liverpool history, and he's won, I think, it's 16 out of his first 18 games as Liverpool manager in all competitions. It's been insane. We got League Cup to look forward to as well soon. Champions League on Wednesday. We'll have the review of that coming up on Wednesday night. And otherwise, probably a nice way to end the podcast for today in what's been the return of a long overdue podcast on this show. So once again, apologies for my lack of content. I'm sure you can all understand. But in the meantime, this has been. Actually, before I go, I am breaking this. I'm going to the Merseyside derby in December. I'm going to Liverpool against Everton. Looking forward to that one a lot. My first ever Merseyside derby. I've always wanted to go to it, and especially I love day games. I'm loving the fact that I'm going to be going a 12:30 kickoff, doing it all in one day as well. It's going to be fantastic. My first experience at Goodison at the Merseyside derby. It's going to be a cracker. But in the meantime, this has been the Fields of Anfield Road podcast with your host, as ever, Andy Davis. And we'll see you guys next time. Up the Reds.